Hello everyone and welcome back to Cinema Shakedown, the weekly podcast that functions as a grab bag for all things film. I'm your host Kyle Craigbaum.
And I'm your other host, Jordan Dennis.
And I'm the new host, Dylan Miller, aka the half-Irish Goblin Body.
That's good. I like that better than the last one. Half Irish.
For every week, that's going to be your name in my phone contacts.
Okay.
I'm just going to change it up.
Until I get a new one.
Every one of them is going to fucking switch me up so bad. Like, is this a new plug? Like,
So how's everyone doing? How's the week going?
Good.
I'm good, dude.
Yeah?
Just got done watching some Shia LaBeouf apology interviews.
Oh, man. Riveting stuff.
Yeah.
Were they new or like a little older?
No, I mean, it's the ones whenever he got accused of sexual battery.
Isn't he a priest now?
Yeah. He's a monastery.
I
He
mean,
found God.
I guess, like,
He started calling people brother.
that's kind of like the equivalent of sending one to prison. Just, like, getting them, like,
Yeah, make turn
away from society. Like, you know what? You go isolate yourself,
Yeah,
brother.
dude.
Like, you
Just
yeah.
get him into religion.
Clearly can't be left alone with anyone, so fucking.
Worked for Kanye.
There you go. Yo.
Well, any what have you watched besides what we're talking about today?
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I was saying that. We
Okay.
can do the deep dive into the Shia LaBeouf saga.
Yeah. What normal stuff have you watched today?
Nothing, dude. I've been
or
fucking
around.
living life,
Yeah.
getting blackout drunk, FaceTiming ex-girlfriends.
I'll tell you what. I have been nuts deep in my new Elden Ring playthrough.
Yeah, there we go.
The DLC dropping.
DLC out.
It's coming out later this month. So
Cool.
I never finished the game, my first playthrough.
Yeah.
So I've given myself basically this month to like overcome this hurdle. You know what I mean? Like it's been haunting me since.
I have
2022.
started my new playthrough.
Yeah. What's your build? What are you rocking?
I'm rocking Prisoner, which is half magic, half melee.
Word up. I'm doing Vagabond. I wanted to do more of
I think that's what I put in their stuff.
a strength. It's you know what I'm talking about, dog. No, but I always revert back to Okabuka. Like every play, like you know, I'm always
Smack things.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'll learn how to cast spells or whatever, and then it's just always in my nature to just smack shit.
The thing about
Like,
spells in that game is you then have to like balance like the different potions
Yeah,
and like
it's
the different. It's a
that's
lot.
why I never
more.
play a caster in D&D. Usually, it's just like it's too much. You know what I mean? I just beat it with my bare hands.
Yep.
Simpler.
Yep. Have I watched anything? I'm watching The Sopranos right now.
You certainly are.
I'm
Best TV show of all time.
I'm
on
halfway
record.
through season 2. It's not currently my favorite show, but it is
It
great.
gets there.
It's great.
We had a good
awesome.
talk about it. We compared it to Breaking Bad, where we were like, the first 2 seasons are weaker than the rest of it, but it's still
Masterful.
it would still be the best
Masterful.
season of like a lot of other TV shows.
Didn't you just finish Twin Peaks as well?
I finished the original run. I haven't watched The Return yet.
Gotcha.
Just on a fucking run of bangers
It's,
right now.
it's
You're on a tear,
Twin
dude.
Peaks is
Someone stop this
fucking
guy.
real.
Yep.
Unreal. And then the only other movie I watched this week that was not. I saw the TV Glow again. I talked about that last week.
Didn't you watch one today that you were quite fond of?
Yeah, I watched one today. I don't even know if either of you have heard of this film.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
It's called Tarot.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the equivalent of We Have Final Destination at Home. I said in my review, Cabin in the Woods came out 12 fucking years ago, and they're still making these goddamn movies.
What did you mean
We're
by
like,
that?
We're like literally what Cabin in the Woods is parodying is like a bunch of dumb teenagers go down to a basement with a bunch of cursed relics, and then they die one by one and make dumb decisions.
I thought the trailer looked like fucking dog shit.
I did too.
It's the Dewey Cox effect because
Yeah.
that came out in like 2007, and we're still getting the same
Exactly.
fucking Wikipedia page music biopics.
Yeah.
Like,
And the sad thing, it's not even the worst horror film I've seen this year. Imaginary was way worse.
Certainly isn't going to be the worst horror film I've seen this year.
Well, you know.
I will say that is one thing I think has been a blessing in disguise with taking a little break from the podcast is I have missed so much garbage,
So much trash.
over the past like 6 or 8
January was
months.
bad,
Like,
bad,
yeah, no,
bad
I-
this month.
Save yourself.
I was so glad I did not have to receive that. So when we seeing imaginary text, like,
Oh God. Okay, so we want to hop into
let's
this shit today.
get right into it. Let's slide right in like a steak knife into the abdomen of a college sophomore.
Let's get into this wet, tight episode.
This,
Slip
so
right in.
we're just gonna
Sticky,
go.
fluid,
Ooh.
deep, dark red.
Oh, so warm.
Yeah.
Oh, so warm.
All over your face, body.
Gooey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just staring right at the camera. I guess we'll go in order that we watched them in. So
What are we talking about? We're talking,
we're talking about slasher movies today.
you know them, you love them.
In honor of the released In a Violent Nature, we went back and we each picked a slasher movie to talk about.
Which In a Violent Nature, by the way, doing numbers in the festival circuit. It had a lot of good buzz coming up to it. We will let you know what we think later.
Yes.
You gotta listen to find out.
So our three picks. Yours is
1974 Black Christmas.
Mine was 2010's Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
And mine was 2017's, also might be 2018's Revenge.
So, spoiler alert for those three movies. We are going to be going in depth, and we're going to start with your pick, Black Christmas, if you want to give us a plot rundown.
Black Christmas is a 1974 cult slasher that is about a group of sorority girls who are left during Christmas, during break, and they begin to be tracked
Stalked
by a man potentially in their house.
Yes. Yeah. They're getting these weird, creepy phone calls.
Yeah.
Where he's like breathing and like licking and making weird animalistic noises.
Spazzing out. Just tizzing out.
Yeah, I like what you said here with like occult horror, because despite how, and we'll get into it, influential it is to a wide variety of slashers at the time, it's not talked about nearly as much.
No. I had to search for it whenever we were coming up with picks. I had to like look up shit that wasn't gonna fucking suck. And that was one that it took me a while.
I could not show the boys mid. I refuse.
I gotta come swinging.
And I kind of knew the premise because I had seen both remakes. I like knew Sorority Girls, creepy phone calls, all that. I was not prepared for how fucking good this movie is.
It's shreds so hard.
Not only has it aged incredibly well technically, from camera point of view, from just a building tension point of view, it's also aged remarkably well thematically and socially. It's very interesting how progressive it was for feminism, for like pro-choice.
I don't ever want to be called a misogynist ever again. Like I recommended the most pro-feminism movie possible.
We've never called you that.
Yeah,
Someone's calling me a misogynist somewhere.
I'm not a misogynist. I have a friend who's a girl.
How could I be a misogynist? I love Black Christmas. And yeah, I don't. Where do you want to start with this one?
Where do you even start with this one?
Dude. Yeah. Back when movies looked like fucking movies, I'm reminded of it every single time. Because, like, the 70s, The Long Goodbye is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Right.
Like, the 70s is...
It had Alien, it had, like, some incredible films.
Well, it was such a turning point for not only, like, culturally it was such a turning point. Fucking cinematically it was such a...
Genuine countercultural.
Yeah.
Where
it stood for something. Yeah. And, good God, the movie just looks so fucking good.
I think not only even a product of the time, the choice of setting is so interesting too. Yeah. Because again, I'm not super familiar with the history of horror lore and everything. I don't know how many horror movies came out before this that were set during Christmas. Yeah. But just something about this very warm and cozy time where you feel safe and everything, and it gives it this ice cold kind of vibe to it and everything, and it really flips that on its head, and it goes even deeper with that by having the main intent, the killer in this movie, literally coming from inside this house. You know what I mean? Like the place you are meant to feel safest.
And to go along with such a perfect setting, it uses Christmas music in a fantastic.
The lighting with some of the Christmas light. There's one great shot where Olivia Hussey, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I'm sorry, Queen. I know you're still alive. I know you're listening. She opens the door and there's a lit wreath, red light on her and everything, and it's just the filmmaking isn't it's not flashy in a show-offy kind of way. I think we just took note of it because the fundamentals are so strong, and they just somewhere along the line that became the bare minimum became a fucking treat, because people people treated like these types of movies, slashers, kind of became pig trough, bottom of the barrel, like by the 7th Friday the 13th sequel.
Yes.
This was like considered schlock, but because this had, come out on like the cutting edge of this, horror movement and everything.
So much integrity.
I think like this is like right after Texas Chainsaw, right?
Yeah.
Like so it's like
Year,
it's right there on the fringe. So it is like I lost my train of thought. I forgot where I was going with that.
You just got so lost.
I was
great.
I was and I was just sorry. I was thinking about Black Christmas. You mean
I was
Kwanzaa?
thinking about women.
I'll tell you the two things that this does better than 95% of horror movies at the time, and a lot of them now. The character work, which is genuinely great. They're so likable,
and it's not even like a matter of like they're not like deep and complex. Like it's not trying to be.
But it's a combination of performance with solid character.
Likability is such a good word, because like people, a lot of these horror movies forget
to make them like.
We don't want to see these characters die. Like yes we do, because it's a slasher and we want to see the gnarly kills. But like
still thinking about Barb, dude.
And this gets me into the second thing it does.
Alcoholic queen.
This is the second thing that it does.
Shout out to Margot Kidder, big ups. R.I.P. Queen, fly high.
The other thing this does better than majority of the horror movies at the time, it is still genuinely upsetting and disturbing.
I haven't been disturbed like that from a movie.
Some of those phone calls those girls get are some of the most hair-raising shit I've ever heard.
And I love the perspective. I love the like perspective shots that are like in that wide-angle lens. It's almost like handheld.
They strap the GoPro to his fucking forehead.
POV. You're about to fuck up a sorority house.
And then the recurring visual of the girl with the bag over her head.
Jesus
Christ. It's just so genuinely unnerving.
Spoilers for all these, right?
Yes.
Spoilers for all these. The first girl, the sorority girl who gets killed, I don't think they find her body at all in the entire film, and then throughout the movie it keeps cutting back to her in this attic, and the killer is just having a ball up there, fucking tearing the place up and shit, going crazy.
The second the women leave, that he just.
You also never see the killer.
No.
You never get you get like glimpses, but you never. There's no like big twist, no big reveal of whose identity it is, and I think that's such a fun play on like the audience, because they know that you're trying to figure out who the killer is, you know what I mean? You're sitting there, the wheels turning and everything, and then it just completely pulls the rug out from under you with that ending. Where like you think they get him.
They did get satisfaction.
But did they?
I think, and I don't know, the baby brain in me was like, come on, give me some sort of satisfaction. And I think when I knew the movie was coming to an end, I was a little like, oh no, please don't like fuck this up.
Yeah.
But then the final scene is when the phone rings again, and like they've cleared out the house.
Mm-hmm. You think they got the killer? Like you think it's all done?
They've at the very least cleared the house of all the victims and all that. And then you hear the phone ring again, and a cop
just ignores it.
He hears it, and lights up a cigarette and completely ignores it.
And that
just thematic.
And that truly ties into the biggest theme of this movie. Police are incompetent. They spend the whole movie trying to like trace this call, like figure out where it's coming from, and it's not until like an hour 30 in that they're like, duh, it's coming from inside the house. Like, brother, what?
But the kind of that police angle also ties into the other thematic element running through this movie, which is that feminism, and that the frustration of men when they can no longer control women.
Yeah.
And the dismissal of women as well.
Correct. And it's not only by the cops, but by the main male character in this. I'm forgetting his name, played by the guy from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Peter, yes.
You know what's so funny? I'm so good with character names. I suck at actor names.
Yeah.
But like this guy,
I'm still not 100% on Margot Kidder. I don't know if that's her first name. Like,
I think they nailed it.
The running subplot through this movie is our main character, played by Olivia Hussey, is pregnant.
Who changed my life in high school, by the way. Shout out to Romeo and Juliet, 1968.
She's pregnant and she wants to have an abortion, and this movie's way more pro-choice than I thought it would be for
Like,
the time.
her and Peter kind of had this conflict because Peter's doing the guy thing where he's like, you didn't even ask me, like.
But then it starts getting gradually more and more creepy and
Yeah.
unnerving with this character.
And also they kind of throw him in as a red herring because the calls they get, some of the things the killer is saying is like alluding to that he knows about this situation with the abortion and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we should look up Olivia Hussey's. What's her character's name? Is it Jen? Jane?
I'm pulling this up right now.
I do like that, because we also don't really get resolution for what the fuck he's talking about with Billy.
No,
Jess.
I think this guy, I like the idea. Similar to, what do we talk about in Mad Max, where in Thunderdome, the guy's just like a big fucking retarded guy.
Yeah.
And like that's why he gets, spazzed out from loud noises.
Yep.
I like the idea that this killer is just some fucking schizo.
just some weirdo. Just some fucking weirdo. There's no desire to like. You're never made to like understand or sympathize with him. He really is, the killer in this really is more of a concept than anything. It is like in my interpretation, like the manifestation of male rage and ego in a way. Like a guy who is just like I think it's trying to demonstrate like one bad day, the switch flips. You know what I mean? Anyway, ladies, choose the bear. Just pick the bear every time. You'll be able to find a bear if it's in your house.
Yes, that is true.
Speaking of bears being in your house, what are you doing later?
That's good. I want to get into, you had mentioned the death of Barb, which is my favorite scene in the series.
Yes, that is like a Hall of Famer slasher kill.
That is when the movie comes to the peak of the Christmas music playing an eerie tone and the editing being so fierce and weird, which throughout the movie the editing is really strong. Match cuts are great. Match or cuts on tone.
The sound design too is really good and eerie.
That's got my favorite shot in the movie too, by the way. That scene where it's all like the glass pieces and her hand is like falling. Covered in blood. It's just the coolest.
There's so many good shots. The fucking shot with his eye peeking through the door.
Jesus Christ, that scene,
is
dude.
Terrifying. Genuinely.
I mean, I mean it. I haven't been scared like that in a long time. And actually, when you asked me, or asked us at the beginning, like, have you seen anything? I watched, there was a movie that really haunted me as a kid that's clearly inspired by this, and maybe just inspired by the urban legend of he's calling from inside the house. It's called When a Stranger Calls.
That movie rips this movie off, just straight up.
I mean, I think the urban legend existed before this movie.
Sure.
And I think it was like really prevalent in the 70s.
Okay.
But
I think it rips it off in the same way like Halloween rips this off. You know what I mean? Like obviously like.
Which, by the way, I looked up. John Carpenter and the director of this movie, his name is losing me.
Bob Clark.
Bob Clark. Director of A Christmas Story.
And
Fun
Forties?
fact. Yes. Imagine having two Christmas classics on your belt. Like,
yeah. But yeah, he got permission, John Carpenter.
Yeah,
right?
but he also didn't rip it off.
I also don't want to say rip off in like overtly negative terms.
Well, the whole time we were kind of like, oh my god, oh that's where that is.
Halloween,
exactly. But apparently it's like no, he was just using it as kind of like a.
Let me ask you this: gun to your head, which has the better ending, this or Halloween?
I like this movie more.
I know you do because you're soft on big Halloween.
I unfortunately am.
Unfortunate.
Now Halloween, I will say, has a really strong ending.
For sure.
Has a great ending.
This movie was just like it's just kind of made for me, man.
Yep.
Like it's just
What about this? Do you prefer to like the original Halloween? I know it's been a minute. I don't know how long you've watched it.
I mean, I haven't seen Halloween, admittedly, in a long time. But I think what Halloween.
We should give that a rewatch when it's seasonal.
Yeah,
sure,
totally,
absolutely.
I think Halloween nails like the iconography, and I even like sort of I like the score of Halloween better. But this is just like I don't know.
I will say I find the characters more interesting and likable in this movie versus Halloween.
I think I do agree with, and for me, this is the difference between like a 4.5 and a 5 for me. Like it's not. I'm not saying there's like a country mile between these two movies.
Sure.
But I do think I agree with you there. I do think I find. Yeah. I think Laurie is like a better character than everyone in Black Christmas, but as an ensemble,
Agreed.
I think
the performances and the character work is stronger in this one.
I think the movie looks better. Like
you know what? I actually think I might agree with that. Yeah. Because there's not. There's like There's not too many shots I can recall from Halloween. There's a couple ones that have like stuck with me, but
The closet shot.
just in
is one
terms of
those
just
big
like
ones.
not to make this a whole like Black Christmas versus
No, of
Halloween
course,
thing,
sure,
but,
of course.
but that probably is like the best direct comparison
It is.
for a movie you
It
can make to
absolutely
this.
is.
You know what? Actually, a newer movie. This actually kind of reminds me of, in terms of like invading the space you're meant to feel safest, is Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of gave that's another
Okay.
movie I watched way too
No,
young that
yeah.
like disturbed me
Yeah.
with that exact same thing this is going for.
That's like a really good way. It's like
Because
an
it's-
examination of like of it's an examination of feelings.
Yes.
It's
Where
taking
supposed to be.
it's taking the safest space in your life, your house, and making it an unsafe
and
like.
objectively making it tense as well.
Correct.
The antagonist or killer being more of like an idea than anything.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's honestly a great comparison.
Yeah,
I
I like
wouldn't
that.
think of that.
Kind of back to the John Carpenter like Halloween thing.
Yeah.
I think my thing for Black Christmas is like there's just not integrity but like artistic merit
Mhm.
in Black Christmas. There's clearly so much like love that went into this, whereas like I think the best example of John Carpenter's like artistic merit is
Like The Thing?
Thing.
Yeah.
I think that's
Oh yeah, no, listen, that is
Oh my
the Thing is the thing.
That's my
Like,
favorite horror film of all time. So it's
Here's
hard
the
to-
here's the thing.
Do we have anything else to add to Black Christmas?
I'm trying to think.
no. It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Go watch it, please.
Watch it before you watch any of the fucking remakes.
Yeah.
This is a very, very, very strong 4.5 for me. On rewatch, it could tip over.
Same, agreed.
Yeah.
I concur.
5-star cinematic masterpiece.
Easy 5.
Yeah.
Light work.
5-bagger.
If
What a way to start.
if
Your
you-
first 5 on the show?
Yeah.
If
Chalk
you
it up.
if you haven't watched this yet,
Yeah.
go out of your way to
Absolutely
find
no
this.
reason this shouldn't be in
Yeah.
the same like discussion as Halloween.
Like
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a new staple for Halloween, Christmas, whatever.
Yeah, I
You
hope
get- you get two
we're-
birds with one stone.
We're leading the charge
Yeah, yeah.
on the Black Christmas 1974
Absolutely.
reappraisal.
Mhm.
All right, we are going to get into my pick now. 2010's Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, a movie that I was really, really big on in middle school.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it since, and I wanted to revisit it to see how it holds up. In this one, you have two rednecks named Tucker and Dale. They are going out to the middle of the woods to fix up this like piece of shit cabin that's going to be their new vacation home. And meanwhile, there's a group of dumbass teens vacationing in the same spot, camping. And through a series of ridiculous misunderstandings.
It's very like Three Stooges film.
Yes.
Like classic, like Marx Brothers.
Super kind of like slapstick.
Yeah.
Through a series of obscene, absurd coincidences.
Misunderstandings.
One of the girls gets knocked out, and Dale rescues her, but her group of friends think that she was kidnapped by the creepy rednecks.
Like killers in the woods or whatever.
And there you start this ridiculous horror comedy.
I gotta bring the Dewey Cox comparison back, because
Yeah.
this is the Dewey Cox of slasher films.
Yeah, it really just upends the tropes with this type of slasher, Friday the 13th.
Yes.
You know,
Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Like,
and it is ridiculously stupid, kind of amateurish.
but it's so funny.
So
It's
fucking
so
when
funny.
when the jokes hit, they're like you're doubled over.
Now I'm kind of like
Yeah.
I maybe have a little bit of an unfair opinion because I was blackout drunk when we watched this.
I feel like that's the appropriate.
I was laughing because you know I don't smoke weed as much as I
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to.
yeah.
And, you know, I hit your card a little bit,
Mhm.
so I had a nice little cross going.
Yeah, dude.
I was laughing so fucking hard, and I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah.
That fucking psychopathic leader kid
Yeah,
what the
is
hell?
the
So-
funniest fucking thing.
I think this movie is really held together by Alan Tudyk and the actor who plays Dale. But the guy,
Oh.
he's like the ringleader of this like group of kids. He's like the
Chad.
This is
he's
what
like,
it's all about.
he's like the preppy douchey one, but he is actually,
He's actually
like the
the
psychopath.
same
He's the one who turns out
It's
to be a
about
killer.
us.
Every
He's throwing axes in the tree.
Survival of the fittest.
That dumb bitch with the big tits is like, oh my god, Chad, what are we gonna do? She's like, you don't get it, man. Like,
every line reading made me laugh. In some ways, he kind of reminded me of what's the character from Bottoms, Jeff?
Yeah.
Where it's like the
hyper
one,
elevated like douchebag, just absolute.
Yes, and he owns it. He is like
Patrick
so
Bateman kind of like vibes a little bit.
And like you said, when this movie gets into the actual gore slapstick,
Yeah.
it is so fucking funny.
Some of the kills, because none of them are really like, they're all like
murders.
manslaughter. Like,
Yeah.
The one has to be when the kid is coming at Tucker, who's loading stuff into a wood chipper, and Tucker just like happens to duck, and the kid dies. I'm talking like Troy Polamalu spear tackle to the chest, whole body off the air, head first right into the wood chipper.
Dude, I screen recorded that like specific shot. It's so funny, like in comparison to everything, because it's clearly like it's almost a set piece. They have this camera on a dolly, and it's like just the normality of what is it, Tucker?
Yeah, he's chopping wood or whatever.
He's doing, he's just there, and he just moves, and the guy like as the camera's dollying.
And it gets so much funnier when Tucker tries to pull him out and then goes, "You okay?"
I love that they genuinely believe that they're encountering like a suicide cult.
Yeah.
Like they're like genuinely worried about
They're like concerned for these kids' well-being.
I think Alan Tudyk as Tucker and Tyler Labine as Dale are so good.
Yeah,
They're
Steve,
so
that
funny.
chemistry is
It is
incredible
actually the
between
only
those
other
two.
thing that I've seen Pirate Steven.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk, he's
Yeah.
a super prolific voice actor, so you've heard his voice.
Probably, yeah.
But Tyler Labine in particular as Dale is so good.
That's a nice cooler.
And it's also
Cut off his bowling fingers!
it's genuinely surprising that this movie is actually kind of sweet too. It's like
There's
yeah.
like a genuine like emotional core to Tucker and Dale's brotherhood, and Dale being like, you know, he's a bigger guy, he's kind of down on himself, got self-esteem issues, and you know Tucker's trying to like.
And then the girly rescue starts to kind of fall for.
She's the only one of the teenagers who has like any sense whatsoever.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just the escalation of this movie that's so goddamn funny.
Yeah, by the end, the guy is just fucking two-faced.
Yeah, he gets like half incinerated, like the barn burns down or whatever.
I like when they're in the barn, or it's some sort of location after, again, blackout drunk. But like
he's blackout drunk right now.
It's him and Dale in like an isolated location. I think the girl's there too, and he's like. The way he comes in, he like hangs up.
They're at the fucking like lumber mill, and
Yeah.
he swings. He like Tarzan kicks Dale. It's incredible.
There's such a funny goddamn twist where that character hates rednecks because of the past, where his like mother was murdered by
His
redneck.
mother was a victim of like a Texas chainsaw type like incident or whatever.
And then you find out that his mother was SA'd by the fucking rednecks, and that he's half redneck, and it's just
he has like a whole like crisis. Like it can't be.
And again, his delivery is so goddamn funny.
Very underrated comedic performance. Has that guy ever been in anything else
let's-
before or since?
Nothing is real. Everything is a lie.
He was in some stuff around the same time, but nothing recently at all.
Damn.
Performance of a lifetime.
Honestly, yeah, it didn't need to be in anything else.
I'll get to my one big problem with this movie. I don't like the look of it, and I wish it had done a better job of replicating the look of a horror film from the time.
Shot on like 16 millimeters.
Yeah.
Either that or just shot better, because it
What was it made for?
does look
What?
pretty cheap. I think $5 million.
I don't know. I kind of, because it's such like a dumb comedy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can kind of forgive the amateurish look a little.
It doesn't. It's not a deal breaker.
It almost kind of adds some charms in some
Sure.
spots, but I do agree with you.
I think that would
in
have
other
elevated
spots, like yes, yeah.
it. Yeah, I think it would have elevated it if it just had more of like a cinematic look
Yeah.
versus sometimes it
Did
doesn't.
this
look
get a
good.
theatrical release?
It did.
Had to.
It did.
Yeah, yeah.
Limited, but it
Okay.
did.
Interesting. Because this screams like straight to streaming, but like complimentary
Hidden
to me.
gem.
Yeah.
And it maybe feels a little long at times. It's pretty short. It's like 80-something
Sure,
minutes. It
sure.
can feel a little drawn out. But again, while the humor is hit and miss, when it hits, that's all that matters.
So fucking
Because
funny.
you're like crying.
I think that's kind of like
Yeah.
to add on to what you're saying. I
Mhm.
think my one thing is like there's just kind of like modernisms, or I guess like sort of as we were slipping into, because this was 2010.
Yes.
Yeah, we were right on the cusp of slipping into like the 2010s, the modernist sort of like
What specifically are you referring to?
Well, again, pretty blackout drunk, but I think the the look of it, sort of just its presentation. There isn't really an attempt at anything artistic.
For sure. No, it's pure comedy.
More autistic than artistic.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Yeah, it is not that kind of movie.
Yeah.
So it's also
It reminds me of something like Horrible Bosses, where there's not a ton there, but you're laughing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think a comedy's first job, first
Correct.
and foremost.
Correct.
Make you laugh.
And
I think what like when this sets out to like poke fun at like slasher tropes, it also does it very well. Like you can tell this is coming from people who genuinely love this genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
have
absolutely.
like a care for it and everything.
They have a
The
Like,
reverence
opposite for a movie we will be talking
Oh,
about.
yeah. Like that's the worst kind of parody or satire is when it comes from a place of like dislike.
Malice,
When you're parodying or satiring something you hate, like
Like
that.
from a high horse.
Yeah, then it's like that's not. You can only satirize something from the inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You have to love something to be able to critique
Like,
it
poke
to the
fun at it.
level.
Yeah.
It's why Scream works so well, because
Exactly.
they fucking love
Yeah.
slasher movies. Wes Craven obviously has made them.
For the record,
Hey, how about that trailer for Killer? That looks great.
Oh, Kill looks amazing.
Oh, Kill. It's a generic ass title. What are they thinking?
Terrible title. Looks awesome. But
oh yeah, that's got Indian people. in it.
Yeah, shout out to India.
Oh yeah, dude. I'll go see it because I love Indian people.
love you, Harsh.
Our biggest fan, bro.
He was texting me about the bot. He was so happy he was back. I'm gonna give this one a very strong 3.5. I still like it as much as Middle School. I see the flaws in it a little more now, but it is so fucking funny. And with a group of people, if you smoke some
Good
weed,
God.
Yeah, like that,
So-
this
so
is like,
good.
this is a movie designed to throw on a whim with the boys.
Yeah.
Like I'm between like a strong 3, like 3.5. Like I think this is like really fun. Like it's not. Don't go into this expecting like Halloween or
Right,
you
of
know what I
course.
mean. Like
Yeah.
it's just not that kind of movie. But I think if you can like vibe with like a Dewey Cox or like a pop star, and you are into slasher movies, I think you'll have a great time with it.
Yes. Yeah, 3.5.
yeah,
I really liked it. A movie's, as you said, a comedy's first job is to make you laugh. But
I was laughing my ass off. Like
a
I can't.
pretentious film enjoyer's first job is to find flaws.
It even got through your hard walls to get to that soft nougaty
Sure
center.
did.
Tucker and Dale warmed your cold heart, bro.
Sure did, dude. I'm a new man. Post Tucker.
They should have kissed, frankly.
agreed.
Happy Gay Month, by the
Happy
way,
Gay Month.
everyone.
Yeah,
And
June.
we're recording on June 1st.
And the last of our slasher picks before we get into the new one is yours. What do we got, Jordan?
We are talking about Les Bonnes. 2017 French film.
Yes.
A little bit of a so big ups to the French.
Animals.
Anyway.
Now the dad's on it.
Anyway, sorry, the French. Anyway, a bit of an unconventional kind of slasher, sort of subverts tropes in like kind of a different kind of way than Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yes.
It is about a young woman who is having she is the one that a rich man is having an affair with. Flies her out to his vacation home out in some like nondescript desert in the middle of nowhere.
Bumfuck nowhere.
And his hunting buddies roll up, and they're having a good time, whatever, they're chilling. One of his buddies essays the young woman, and fearing for their reputation and their careers, they leave her for dead out in the desert. And through sheer force of will, she picks herself up from the brink of fucking death, and I would say very aptly, she gets her revanche.
Yes, she does. It is.
High on peyote.
Yeah.
If Tucker and Dale was to like deconstruct and reconstruct slasher movies, this one is doing the same for old rape revenge
Yeah.
films.
Yes.
Like Last House on the Left and stuff like that. And this movie, where did you discover it?
Me and my buddy Jacob in high school, I think we watched this for the first time right around when it came out. We might have even picked it up from like Family Video
Mhm.
or something like that. Just been like, oh, we heard about this, and it was like completely off a vibe, completely off a whim, and
Sure.
I remember it like rocking our shit back in the day, and frankly, I gotta say it still holds up. I thought this movie rules.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and it was a lot more. Obviously, there's a lot. It's a serious film in a lot of ways, but it's also very energetic.
Yes.
In a way I didn't expect. It's very colorful.
It's very entertaining.
It's vibrant.
Like
looks
you-
fucking
yes.
great.
Yes.
Oh man, because you wouldn't expect this kind of color palette for a movie with
It's
this
very
premise.
bright and like.
I mean, give the pigs their credit. The French know how to make a movie look good. I wasn't. That was honestly the least surprising part.
It's
I thought
Daft Punk in some movies. That's all the French are good at.
And Napoleon.
I like baguettes.
Okay, word.
That's rule.
What else?
I like Roman Polanski.
Cut the feed! Cut the feed! Runs up and like knocks the camera over.
But it's a movie. I think we would agree that it.
Wait, is Roman Polanski French?
Nobody moved to France, and that's why I called him
I think he
pedophiles.
was in Poland.
Probably, but he moved to France after.
Can we not extradite people from France?
I have no idea. Not when you've made Chinatown, I guess.
That's so dumb.
I don't know. That, for the record, is why I called them all pedophiles, because they welcomed him with.
I'm like, oh, that's our guy right there. We should go over there and do something about that.
Yeah, I will. I would love to take over France.
Well, let's start with getting Roman Polanski, and then we can
work from there.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. Great foundation. We'll drop in. We'll fly in some fucking like Black Hawk. Helicopters. So
2017 movie Revenge.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
I think we would all admit that it has a bit of a slow start.
Sure.
I don't think it's bad. I think they lay the groundwork pretty well, and they get off to a fairly quick start. But this movie really gets going, really picks up in that last.
It almost kind of like lulls you into this like where is this going type of thing where you kind of can't get like. Where you kind of can't get a beat on them, and then all of a sudden, like, things get violent and real.
She does peyote, and then shit gets serious.
So they, after she's attacked and everything, the men, they basically, like, what do they do? What do they do before they get her out to the desert? They can push her off the cliff. Do they try and, like, he tries to, like, buy her off.
He tries to buy her off.
And
then
and she like makes a break for it, and they chase her out to the desert.
Yeah.
And they push her off a cliff or whatever. I don't know why I keep whistling when I say my shh.
I've done it my whole life.
You don't have a gap in your tooth, so
I do.
I should. He's like Mike Tyson, dog.
Mike Tyson.
I swear to God, I'm gonna come over there. I'm gonna fuck you. I'm gonna fuck you till you love me, faggot. Like fucking. My Mike Tyson and my Tony Soprano.
I was like, are you just going Tony Soprano?
Fucking Christopher.
That's a fun crossover.
I watched the movie Revenge.
And I fucked him in the ass.
I fucked him in the ass to love me, Christopher. He's a fucking gabagool. God. Watch The Sopranos on HBO.
I'm a fuck you in the ass.
Anyway, she gets pushed off a cliff, impaled on a tree, and then she crawls away to a cave. Well, first off, she kills one of the guys, which is pretty cool. It's this great kind of almost kind of like Friday the 13th scene where she like comes out of the water and everything, and they kind of struggle in the lake, and then she crawls off wounded to a cave. And this is the only movie I can think of that has a genuine instance of Chekhov's peyote, where a dose of peyote is set up earlier in the film, and one of the characters mentions that like, oh, they performed surgery on them, or they like sawed their own arm off or whatever, and didn't even feel it. So she crushes up this fucking peyote, eats it in the dirt, fucking mends her wound and shit. Great scene.
Fucking incredible.
She peels the fucking tin like off of a beer can and flattens it, and uses that to like cauterize the wound, and it brands her with the logo from the beer on it. Like that is raw as
such a
fuck.
cool character piece.
And that is like the moment where like the most likable slasher killer is born.
Yeah.
The final girl outfit she has is so like iconic,
and it's such a good that's such a good concept and flip on it. Like, what if the final girl was the killer? Like,
I really like that she goes from this like bubbly blonde sort of like Los Angeles girl,
huge transformation,
like goth.
Yeah,
she's a goth,
and like combat boots, fucking shotgun with a scope on it. And shit. What the fuck are they shooting with that? Like
in the like the send up of like the final girl turning them into the killer in ways it reminded me of Adam Wingard's You're Next from the 2010s, where it just kind of it flips that on its head.
I think this movie's better than that.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I enjoy it.
You know Adam Wingard movie I like? Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire.
I didn't know those were the same directors.
Yeah, that's Wingard. But yes, I will give props to Matilda Lutz, who's the lead. She's great in it. But also Kevin.
Is it some French name? God damn it. Oh, Janssens? Janssens? I don't know.
Yeah.
Ridiculous fake language and culture.
He's actually Belgian. Oh shit.
Anyway. Oh, diet French. Okay.
Anyway, he's excellent. He
Yeah,
is so
he is
scary
menacing.
and like menacing.
The whole time, we kept doing this like half gag, half like we actually don't know like who does this guy remind me of? Because he's got like a little bit of like everyone in him, but like
Literally made in a lab.
like this guy, but he's so menacing and feral and just like the way he flips from like charming to just like absolutely
Sociopath.
terrifying
Yeah.
is crazy.
The performance I was a little less sold on is Vincent Columbi as Stan.
I don't get that. I really don't. I think he's great. In the
I
movie.
think in moments, in bursts, he's very good.
Yeah.
There's some off-putting line reads for me.
Yeah, when he's not having freakouts, when he's not like losing his shit, I think he's very mediocre.
I think that last sequence is
Yeah.
fantastic with
But-
it.
but
I
like-
think he peaks there.
But like, what about the performance is mediocre?
Yeah, that's the thing about mediocre. It's like it's what was the word you used about some of his line readings? Because I would use awkward. There you go.
Yeah. Unconvincing. I don't know. And again, I
Almost
in
cartoony.
freak out mode by the end when he steps on glass. And
Oh
that
yeah,
thing
yeah.
Is so
that,
good.
I think that's one of my favorite sequences in the movie.
Yeah,
when
it's
she
awesome.
goes after him and you know.
Because she's basically like stalking her prey.
Yeah.
And it's just so good.
Like there's a bit where she like I think she breaks like a flashlight on a rock and leaves a bunch of glass
Yeah.
as he's coming after her.
Which is like,
Yeah.
that's insane RNG, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
crazy look.
And then the whole last encounter in the house
Mhm.
is fucking so
sick.
good.
Super sick.
The amount of blood that every character loses in this movie is absurd.
I read
love it.
I read on the IMDb trivia they often like ran out of fake blood during production because they just kept fucking dumping
The
it
house
everywhere.
at the end literally is covered
Yeah,
head to toe
splatter.
in blood.
Yeah, the whole final sequence is her and the guy we were just talking about, the main kind of antagonist, basically just like stalking each other around this house.
Yeah.
Like they both have guns on each other, just and the whole time you're clenched and puckered because they're like swinging around corners right as one of them like
And he's
goes down.
fucking
He is
naked,
buck ass naked,
dick and balls out.
hanging dong, dude. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, soft.
happy pride.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a movie that maybe a little too long at points.
Sure.
But the payoff is so worth it. It's so.
Someone's gonna have to
Okay,
do it.
just leave it for now.
I didn't know if it bounced.
Yes, and keep it
He's
rolling.
gonna have to
Um,
train himself.
But yes, the payoff is so worth whatever like quibbles I have throughout.
Yeah. I mean, it's not perfect. It is French.
Yeah.
And they're always gonna there's always gonna be weird, like, artistic idiosyncrasies there.
Some really good use of long takes. Like
Yeah,
some of
I
them
was
go
about to
on
say,
for a while.
That scene of her running out to the desert and then watching all of them sort of like trail behind her, like I
Yeah.
really liked that one.
The score is really
Yeah.
good, which, bringing it back to Halloween, is on record as being directly inspired by John Carpenter's score for that
I can
movie.
totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can absolutely see the synth
Yeah.
influence there.
Like,
Yeah, it's not like super complicated, but it flips
very simple.
it flips the tropes really well.
like, it clearly has a lot to say about, like, male-female, like, power dynamics and everything, and kind of,
Yeah.
like, retaking, like, you know.
It's ironic that the week we're doing slashers, which is a genre typically known for being pretty misogynistic.
Yeah, we
got
picked the
a
three
bunch
most
of-
Yeah.
pro-feminist
Pro-women.
ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
You heard it here first, folks. Cinema Shakedown, officially pro-women.
okay, yeah,
On
yeah.
record.
We mentioned it. I think the triage scene is where it peaks from.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
whole brand, the
Just tripping on
peyote.
peyote and everything.
That whole peyote sequence is, I mean,
And then you think it's over, and then they do like a dream within a dream
Yeah,
within a dream thing.
that's
That's
what I'm
sick
talking
as
about.
hell, dude. It's so cool. Yeah, I was with this movie.
Yeah.
Thought it was awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Anything else to add?
so here's my thing with the movie.
Yeah.
It's been done before.
Sure.
And better. It's no Mandy,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
no
Right.
Miss 45, but it hits every beat that it has to, and it is, as you said, it's very simple. It's very like, it uses that simplicity very well. Score is great. Lead actress is great. I will say my favorite performance was that butt. Because it's in every shot,
Best
and it
performance by an
is
ass
stealing
ever.
every scene.
Yeah.
It's almost like a subversion because this was directed by a woman,
Yeah.
and it kind of feels like a subversion of the
So
male
she
male
knew how to
gaze.
shoot that butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knew how to frame that butt.
Anything else to add, Jordan?
No, nothing to add after that. 4 out of 5.
Light 4.
3.5.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
With the like button.
With the little orange heart.
Yep.
I kind of just, as a rule, anything I give a 3 or above, I just give a heart.
Yeah, same.
I
mean, if I like the movie, I mean, it also depends if I'm being like objective.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where it's like, if I give it a 3 or above, like, obviously I like it.
Yeah.
Like, I at least like it.
I'll give
you
half
know?
of my 3s a heart and half of them not. It just depends.
Did you give Magnolia a heart?
I think so.
Okay,
I don't know. Don't
He
fact-
got
Okay,
so.
don't fact
That was
check
that was the first moment I've ever seen the facade break, dude. You got so
Yeah.
genuinely concerned about that.
We'll have to talk
Like-
about that at some point.
Like
No,
if he had
not.
said no,
I want to live another day on this earth.
we're gonna listen. The PTA episode is coming eventually.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, it's coming out soon.
coming.
It's imminent. That is a threat.
I have thought about putting a Boogie Nights or the Boogie Nights
Mhm.
poster somewhere along
We
there.
can pop it on it.
Right to the show. Let us know where we should put the Boogie Nights poster.
Yes, it's sick as fuck.
Now we get to the new one, the In a Violent Nature. Like you said, festival darling. People are really liking it, and it is essentially if you took a Friday the 13th, if you took Jason Voorhees,
Yeah.
and basically followed him instead of the people he kills.
Yes.
So it's kind of I know in interviews this director has said he kind of was playing with like a nature documentary thing,
Yeah.
predator stalking prey type deal, and that is the basic premise. It is an art horror film where he
Like a
stalks
shark horror film.
stalks and kills a bunch of. Okay.
I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it that much.
And you still liked it more than us.
And that is crazy. That's crazy.
Um,
It gets worse the more I think about it, though. I might lower that rating.
okay, let's.
But you guys have about 10 to 15 minutes to convince me to lower my rating for
all right, let's
because
talk-
I can be very easily talked into
let's
it.
talk-
I dare you to watch the movie again.
I-
Gun to your head, you have to watch the movie.
I'm okay. I'd rather take the bullet.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about this. Okay. I'm gonna get my positives out of the way because there's some,
It's a
there
much
are
shorter,
some.
but it is a much shorter list.
Yes. I like the look of this movie overall. I
Yes.
think it's pretty sharp. I think in some ways it feels like more of a cinematography reel than it does a movie.
It feels more like a like a fucking just like showing off kind of.
I like the sound design in this movie. The crunches of the footsteps and everything I think are very.
The performance by the main killer
The physique is the main killer.
Well, I mean
Yes.
that is the
The
performance.
way he carries himself.
Yes,
yeah,
he is the
yeah.
best performance in the movie. We'll get
Yeah.
to.
Is that like a wrestler or something? Who is that?
I'd have to look that up.
Yeah.
I will. But
There's like a long-standing tradition where wrestlers play. I think Kane was Jason Voorhees.
yes, he was. Rye Barrett.
Who the fuck?
Yeah. It looks like he's been in some horror things, so he's probably
Okay.
like that. Like
Yeah, he's
he's
just
type
a big
actor.
fucking guy.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably like a union for like those guys who live in LA who are just get called up every time they're doing a horror movie. Hey, we need an ogre. Like
And I will say, for the first hour of this movie, I was moderately entertained.
Sure.
I found things to enjoy. We'll get into them. I think the kills are really effective in this film.
every kill is so good, and it almost makes the movie worse because I wish the movie around the kills was better.
I know. And the first 15 minutes in general, when we were getting into it and he's just walking around doing his thing, I was into the vibes. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm kind of feeling it.
Sure.
I'm excited to see where this goes. The second those fucking teenagers show up, it starts going downhill.
See, here's the thing. I don't think I minded them as much as you guys did, but there is a specific moment. I think we all know when it is, when this movie, like,
Dies.
really falls off the rails for me. Like, I actually really enjoyed, like you said, like, the first hour of this. I
It's
was
not
like, yeah,
bad.
this is like, okay. Like, sure, the acting's bad, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, it wasn't like you kind of put it best, everyone's bad on the same wavelength, so nobody really
stands out.
Nobody really stuck out to me as
and that's
bad.
the thing. Because they're all bad on the same level, I'm like, is this an intentional homage to old
Like, I don't
slashers?
think these are bad actors. Like, I think they were directed to be like this.
Yes, but that is the issue because it clashes with the self-seriousness
And
of
that
the
is
art
that
form.
is the biggest flaw at the center of this movie is it doesn't really know what it wants
doesn't know
to
if
be.
it wants to be camp.
Do you want to
or
be?
art.
Do you want to be like A24
Yes.
art house, high concept,
Mhm.
deconstructing the genre
Yep.
and the tropes, or do you just want to be Friday the 13th 12?
At times, it
Like-
verges into self-parody
like-
because it doesn't know what it
And
wants.
it just kind of that's exactly it. It doesn't know what it wants. What is it trying? Because here's the thing: making it from the killer's perspective is such an interesting concept on paper.
So good.
But we aren't given really any like new insights into like how someone like that is
Nope.
the way they are.
It's a
They
complete concept.
they literally just burst out of the ground in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you know what I was talking to Kyle? You know what I actually would have made this movie slightly more interesting? If you're gonna make it from the killer's POV, make it from the killer's POV. Make it like a hardcore Henry type beat.
We literally saw that effectively used in Black Christmas, and it was so engaging.
Yep.
You heard the guy's voice.
All I'm saying is,
physicality.
imagine how much more engaging the opening of this movie would have been if it's just a black screen
Yeah.
and you hear the dialogue of the teenagers talking, like it's
Yeah.
kind of muffled or whatever, and then you just start seeing like the light break through as he like digs out, and then you just go hardcore Henry with it. Or I think you said, was it when someone on Letterboxd who made the David Attenborough point?
It should be they're
Like
narrated
if
like
you're
that
gonna make it a nature
documentary.
doc, make it a nature doc. Have like David Attenborough like
It'd
narrating
be
his
funny.
like. Give him like something.
Something.
Like the concept is there. They don't go far enough with it.
And I sorry, you were gonna speak?
No, I'll wait.
Okay.
I got a lot to say.
Yes. Yeah, we are all thinking it dies in the last 20 minutes. The last 20 minutes of this movie sucks shit. It's
Sucks.
fucking garbage.
One of the worst endings I've seen to a recent Hollywood release since we started doing this podcast.
It's my least favorite scene of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up there.
I haven't seen a lot of shit like I mentioned earlier this year, but
Yeah.
as of right now, yeah.
I don't think you can get
Well,
worse.
well, that's the thing. It ruins the movie.
You guys want to
it
get into
ruins
spoilers?
Yeah, fuck it.
So let's talk about that
let-
final scene.
Let's give our ratings first,
Oh.
so we can clear it.
Yeah, just
before-
clear that and
before-
then we can get into the fucking meat.
I was at a 3 for the first hour. That ending literally brought me down to a 2. I like it less and less the more I think about it. Yeah.
I'm at a very generous 2.5 just because I think I respect what they were going for
There are things to appreciate.
more
in this, but-
than what it like was, but I think in the very unlikely event that I ever watch this again, that rating is going down.
This is a 1-star movie.
Okay.
Oh. Are you bumping it up from a half star?
No, it's 1-star.
Okay.
It was originally 1-star.
Oh, well, you're right. For some reason I thought half star.
Look,
Okay.
I'm with you guys. I saw the trailer for this. I saw 4:3 aspect ratio. I saw from the killer's perspective, and I went, "Oh, that's interesting."
Yeah.
Not necessarily just because of the concept of, "Oh, it's from the killer's perspective," because that just like saying it, that's a puddle deep concept that only takes you so far. And ultimately, my biggest generous criticism of this fucking movie, this fucking insane excuse of a movie, is it would be a great short film. This is a great concept.
Fantastic.
for a
This should have been
short
like
film.
20 minutes long.
Here's the problem. Here's what and it's a problem, but it's what I was most excited for. Look, man, like I can watch boring movies,
Yeah.
and I can find so much merit in boring
Absolutely.
movies. There is a whole subgenre called transcendentalism.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite movies ever, and I'm just gonna say this without any like any caution. The Brown Bunny is one of my
Yes.
favorite movies ever. Ozu is one of the greatest directors ever. Persone, one of the greatest directors ever.
I fucking love like some of Nicholas Winding Refn's stuff.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
literally,
Yeah.
only God forgives. It's so
It is, absolutely,
what it is,
yeah.
is you fall into the rhythm of the banality of a film. You fall into the sounds, the repetitive natures of it, and then typically for a drama film, in the last 20 minutes, it just fucking knocks you out with like emotional heavy
This
substance.
goes ahead and does the exact opposite.
Well, this is what I was excited for.
Where it's a slow burn, and then it does a slower. The fuse just goes out.
And,
Like,
I mean, yes, 100%. This is what I was excited for. Doing that, but with the slasher. That is an interesting concept.
It's awesome.
And you know what? The first 20 minutes I was down. Because
Yeah.
you get sort of hypnotized by the
The
crunching of the
crunching,
leaves
and that's why I was
the-
saying the sound design was effective for me.
It's good.
Yeah.
Now, let's...
but it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't do anything.
It's only the slow part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like that structure of film, I'm a big believer there's a difference between slow and boring.
Yes.
You like the Brown Bunny. You're not bored by the Brown Bunny.
No.
You're interested in the characters and the story as it's going.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean it's boring. That just means
Yeah.
it's slow.
Yeah.
That's fine. A movie can be slow. This is boring. Because again, like you said, slasher from the killer's perspective is an interesting hook, but slasher from the killer's perspective and
Yeah.
what else?
So,
Like what are we gonna learn about the killer? Like you have so many opportunities.
Oh, that's another thing.
You have so many opportunities to do like an interesting examination of this type of character
A
archetype,
deconstruction.
if you will.
And so here's the other part. And I know you have this question for me. I wonder if this will answer.
Sure.
There's the other element. You guys touched on it a little bit. There's another thing that this movie is clearly trying to do, which is to deconstruct the slasher.
Yeah.
Now, the misdirect is horrible acted teenager roles, horrible dialogue.
The teenagers in Tucker and Dale versus Evil were better actors
Way
than the
better.
ones in this
Way
one.
better. And obviously, I mean, for obvious reasons, but it's like...
For sure, but you
But it's
you would think that.
It is parodying slashers, and it still manages to do that.
It still manages to have a more satisfying emotional core and an actual
Just
point.
fucking performances that are
They're horrible.
they're
so
so
fucking
bad.
dreadful.
And so, but here it's okay. The intention of that. Okay, so are we trying to parody, deconstruct the slasher?
Friday the 13th type. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or are we trying to, because another thing you talked about, what do we learn about the killer?
Mhm.
Well, that whole mother subplot, what a waste.
Yeah.
They don't do it. They don't go anywhere.
He has one weird vision in a mirror where his dad talks. So the
horrible.
the whole premise is on his grave in the beginning where he's been buried. Is a necklace that was given to him by his father, his mother, someone. And it obviously means a lot to him. These teenagers, these shit ass teenagers, come along and take the necklace, and that is what
That's what wakes him up. That's
raises him.
Implied it's a cursed object.
So the whole premise of the movie is him killing these teenagers trying to get this necklace back, and
Sure.
it's just I almost wish. Honestly, at this point, make the movie simpler. I feel it's almost trying to do too much without going full enough in. It's not focusing on anything. It's just half-assing everything.
You're right.
And it's
what it's. That's what I mean. It's trying to. Okay, are we trying to deconstruct the slasher?
do you want to be unconventional or conventional? Pick one.
Or if you're gonna
pick a feature.
If you're gonna be conventional, don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
Because that, if anything, is what Tucker and Dale did so well.
Yeah.
But then there's also this other part of it that, as you said, even though 4x3 stopped really blowing me away a few years ago, that doesn't really do anything for me unless you're First Reformed masterpiece.
Big ups.
5-5. It just falls flat with all of its attempts at what it thinks it's doing. I remember when the movie ended, you went, I kind of respect that. It's like a giant fuck you to the audience.
Yeah.
I don't think the movie's that smart.
That doesn't mean I liked it.
No,
I respect it. I am glad there was a filmmaker bold enough to make that choice.
Sure.
I wouldn't do it.
No,
I wouldn't do that shit.
I just don't think the movie's that smart. I
No,
don't think it's smart enough.
But it certainly thinks it is.
It is.
And
this movie is pretentious.
Yes, it is. And like you were saying, if we had some semblance of character in there, that would be something. Because when they finally give the killer a character moment, I was shocked by it. I was like, oh my god, we got a character with
that scene with the toy car is actually really
and I
good.
liked that scene.
It's the one. That's what I wanted more of this movie.
Yes.
I was hoping when we're with the killer's perspective, we would see him do things other than walk around and kill people.
Yeah.
like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like more like little moments like that make like if this is gonna be the protagonist of your movie,
Give me something.
Give me something,
please.
like because the bare bones like tragic backstory just ain't cutting it.
Well, and it's been done before.
Exactly, it's generic.
But that just goes back to like, are you trying to parody, pay homage, or like what the fuck are you doing? I have a positive.
Yes.
The only human thing about this movie are the reactions from the victims. And it is very real and human for otherwise very like robotic.
Whenever this movie decides to actually be a slasher, like it just kind of says fuck it to the whole like high concept art house thing. That's kind of when I think this movie shines.
Yeah.
Is when it just like because it's when I say like I kind of wish this movie was simpler. Like if you're not gonna full ass the more like Heidi things you're going for here,
stick to the recipe.
Yeah, exactly. Just at least make the fundamentals sound.
Yeah.
And so like whenever there's like a kill, there's a really gnarly one like towards the middle of this movie.
It's an all-timer kill.
Like, but
genuine.
Wish it was a better movie.
That goes into what I was saying, because when he walks up to the girl, she's expecting her lesbian playmate.
Yeah, happy Pride.
Yeah. This is weirdly pro Pride.
We didn't even plan that.
Yeah.
Funny how that shit works out.
But like when he walks up to her and she like sees him, you see it in the trailer. Like that reaction's very human. And I'll let you guys kind of take away, because I mean obviously you like it more than I do, even though it's not the same. But, I'll let you guys take it away with the kill itself. But it starts with him putting his hand through her stomach.
Punches right through her.
And there's a moment, because this is how your body would actually react to that.
She like turns around and looks.
She turns around, but she's like frozen, and like that's the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think she would have felt it. I don't think she felt that. And
it almost read to me too as almost just like resignation. Like you just what are you like? Yeah. You're dead. Like what?
That was a very human moment in that otherwise fucking human.
Whenever a character has to open their mouths is when the
everybody needs to shut the fuck up in that movie.
Yep.
That's why the protagonist is the best character, because he doesn't say a fucking word.
That fucking campfire scene drove me nuts.
Up a fucking wall.
I want to talk about that in a second because I have a big point about that one. I want to talk about this kill for a second because it is like
it's incredible.
Highlight.
So he basically punches through her stomach with something.
Like he's got a hook. It's like a lumber tool.
Pulls it out, stabs her in the head, and then proceeds to bend her head.
Like pull her head through. Yeah.
Honestly, have not seen that before.
That is a first. No, literally, that was the one moment in the movie you and I like both kind of like locked in, and we're like, "Whoa, like okay, maybe we got something."
That is where I was like,
it's a problem because like there's like sparks, there's moments, there's flashes.
Like you said, during those slasher scenes, it temporarily like comes to life. There's an overhead shot with him killing somebody.
Where he smashed.
I quite like.
Not the first kill, but the second one where he gets the stoner out by the tree with the fucking saw.
Yeah.
Like that. Like those are like.
That actually, when he's lugging around the dead body and he uses it to break the glass door, I laughed so hard.
It's funny. That's
and
a funny scene.
then a kill near the end where he turns somebody's head to hamburger meat was pretty great.
That's another moment. The woman.
Yeah.
We will get to, by the way.
Yeah, we'll need to get
I know
into
we
that
haven't hit
minutes.
and I want to talk about the campfire in a minute too.
The woman who ends up seeing that, she's got like, I don't know, their plan was to like light him on fire or something like that.
Sure, some dumbass plan.
And you know, I mentioned this to Kyle as well. It's like another approach they could have taken was like the banality of being the slasher, because he's just beating this guy's head in with a fucking rock, like repeatedly, and it's this long take.
It's almost if it's like muscle memory, like he's not even thinking about it.
He knows.
Yeah,
that is interesting to me. But the woman who sees it, she doesn't scream. She doesn't have this like super.
Which I will say, what she does is maybe the smartest thing I've ever seen a character do. Just leave, like gives him what he wants and leaves. Like that is like I will give the movie props.
100%.
That is the smartest thing I've ever seen a character do in a slasher movie.
And it's one of my favorite moments in the movie, because she also starts having like she can't stop. Like it's kind of the rhythmic thing about the movie. When she's running, you keep hearing the beating of the rock into the head.
Like she's
traumatized.
She's like running through the forest at night, so she has no idea where she's going, and she keeps hearing that fucking like it's like scaring her and shit. I will
That's
say
real, man. That's
that
real trauma.
there's a fun flip with the sound design where whenever it's the killer alone in the woods, it's very like idyllic,
Serene.
like the birds are
Yeah.
chirping and everything, and
Yeah.
then when she's doing it, like it's still the animal sounds, but they're all like cranked a little
Yeah.
bit and everything, and it's made much more, and it's like
It's overstimulated.
I get what it's trying to say about like perspective there and everything, but like the decision in the last 20 minutes of this movie. So
You want to do campfire first, actually?
yeah, let's talk about.
Well,
the
that's
camera.
the first
I'll let
time.
you-
That's the
wow.
first time I was like, why are we?
This movie
why
focuses
are
too
we-
much on the teenagers.
Well, I was
Bottom
like,
line,
why are we throwing away the gimmick here?
Yeah.
The campfire scene was the first time I was like, we're breaking the gimmick.
This movie does not commit enough to
No,
the
it
bit.
doesn't.
That
It
is
is being
anything.
sold as a film that is from the killer's perspective, and then for,
Like, say
for
what you-
10 minutes, you break away for a single, mind you, very fucking dizzying shot around
Miserable
this,
scene.
around this
Where
campfire.
nothing happens. It's just people talking around a campfire. Terrible dialogue. Terrible acting.
It only exists to like give Johnny's backstory.
And it sucks because again, I feel so bad because like I don't feel like I can blame any of these actors because again I feel like
What
they
are
were
they given?
told like they
What are
were
they
given
given
that
here?
direction like.
But yeah, that scene I did not like. Because they broke the gimmick. They broke perspective. Just commit, and then
Like these annoying teenagers and this bad acting would not be nearly so bothersome if I didn't spend so much fucking time with them.
I know. And then that last 20, when we first break away and we start following her through the woods, I was like, interesting. Are we gonna do like a subversion final girl thing here? They broke perspective, but
And they certainly do.
But maybe there's something interesting.
It subverted
here.
my expectations.
Yeah.
It subverted my expectations by being shit.
Oh my god, I still don't know what he's trying to say or do with this
He's
last.
not. He's a fucking moron. Is the PG version of what I was gonna say.
Chris Nash is. You can tell this is a directorial debut. Let me tell you.
Fucking. Pig.
Yeah, she gets rescued by this lady in a truck, and then the lady proceeds to yap at her for like 20 minutes straight. I thought this monologue would never fucking end.
Literally
Unbearable. Unbearable.
At a slower pace. She's speaking at a slower pace than the fucking killer walks, which is another, just before we get into that final scene, because I know that was the moment we all went, this fucking sucks. Who walks that fucking slow?
What, the killer?
Who walks that
I
fucking
mean, Jason
slow?
Voorhees does. That's what they're going for.
There is a scene where I think he shows up at like their cabin or something
Uh-huh.
like that, and he puts a little fucking pep in his step, and he starts huffing and puffing,
Yeah.
and why wasn't that the fucking, if we're gonna do this, why wasn't that the fucking
That
movie?
didn't bother me. I can't say that bothered me like it did you.
I mean, that is like, see, the problem-
It just adds to the boredom of it.
But that is at least like an identifiable trope that they are like utilizing. Like
And
but what they should have done more of that they kind of do are like the fun cuts where it's like the match cuts of like him walking and then it'll like it's night
Yeah,
now.
just
Like it just kind of like because I think there's something interesting to say there about how like the hours just kind of like
Fly by,
blur
yeah, sure.
in his mind. I agree with you. Like again, you could have done it better. There are better ways.
And they did, literally for 30 seconds in the movie, they did, and it was more intense.
It
than
puts up a
anything.
light jaw.
And before we get into this last 20, I know we want to. I will say, unlike you guys, I actually was not bored for the first hour of this movie. I was baffled sometimes, I was annoyed sometimes, but I wasn't bored. That did change very, very much with that last 20 minutes.
So she's like yapping to her about this bear or something like that. She basically tells this whole story about how like her brother was mauled by a bear, and it's like trying to draw like parallels between.
She's like, yeah, you're a victim, but it's gonna be okay because my
Yeah.
brother's okay. He got mauled by a bear and he's okay. It is so fucking long. It's so
would never
long.
end.
I was sunk so far into my chair by the end of her monologue, I wanted to fall asleep.
It reminded me of that bit from The Nice Guys where he gets done telling him that Richard Nixon story, and he's like, well, "What was I supposed to take away from that? Like, so there's two ways to look at something. Like, what? You could have just told me that." Like,
Exactly.
But like,
Exactly.
and then like, as we're going, and like, they stop the car at one point, and she's like looking off into the woods, and I was like, all right, what are we doing here? And then it ends. And on paper, I'm thinking, like it's, you know, it's, I don't know what it's trying to say.
Again,
You could do this concept well, where like she's still she's always gonna feel uneasy, like he's
Yeah,
gonna fucking
like
come
I-
for
like
her.
I get, like,
understand.
Trauma's there.
Like
The
again,
trauma's there.
Again,
It's always gonna be there.
I get it. It's just the execution leaves so much to be desired.
And I understand. You were saying respected. I understand a subversive, not what you expect, kind of anticlimactic ending. This is not what this is to me. It's
No.
just straight up bullshit.
The movie doesn't end. It stops.
It's abrupt.
It's abrupt.
It realized it was going like 30 minutes over budget.
And maybe I would be okay with an ambiguous, abrupt ending if I didn't absolutely hate that last 15-minute chunk.
Or more on that, if there was anything thematically, narratively, literally anything this movie to grasp onto by the end, because that's another thing that pisses me off about that ending, is it's almost completely detached from anything that's happened in the movie.
It feels very like satisfied with itself. Like, yeah, we taught you all a lesson.
And now you
like,
get to sit through this 20-minute monologue.
like
This-
it's like no, I mean like by the end of like that, just the fact the inclusion of that scene
Yeah.
is the most like pretentious
They
part of
thought
the
it
movie
was a-
because it feels like
they thought it
like
was a home run.
yeah, and like
fucking
because
pig.
before this scene, what character does the final girl have? She doesn't.
we don't we yeah.
Oh my god.
She doesn't have a character.
And that's
now
why
it's trying
switching to
tell
her
us.
perspective, this character we know nothing about, that we've been annoyed by this whole movie, that we don't like, it's baffling.
It was a fucking joke.
The last like 20 to 30 minutes of this movie are fucking
It's
baffling.
the worst scene of the year. Is that the car ride?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that one scene or is that 20 minutes?
I mean, I'd consider that whole ending one scene. Like it's the
It's the
same.
worst scene I've seen all year.
I said to you, there's a director I love, horror director Mike Flanagan, and he always gets shit because he writes a lot of never-ending monologues into his script. He's a very
Yeah, but Mike
writerly-
Flanagan's a good writer.
Yeah.
He's a good
And-
writer,
and the
and the
monologues-
monologues are well written
And the
and well
monologues
performed.
usually have like something to reveal about the character
Yeah,
or like the
yeah.
theme or the narrative. Or they're relevant.
well performed.
So what's going on? Yeah, exactly. Like there's a lot more going for Mike Flanagan. But
This is like watching your a senior at a high school play.
this
doing
felt
a
very
monologue.
student filmy.
The longer it went on, the more it felt like a student film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the time it looks really good. It looks really well framed, like he's showing off in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the end, I really just do think this ending destroys any like goodwill I had towards it.
I would say, bottom line, strong concept,
Yes.
mixed bag for the first hour. You got some bright spots, you got some annoying spots, and then it just really shoots itself in the foot.
Yeah.
At the finish line.
Yeah, it digs
Like
itself
trips,
a hole.
falls, breaks its fucking neck.
Anything else to add?
Joke of a fucking movie shouldn't exist.
Yeah, real.
Typically with movies like this, I can be like, well, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad someone got this out of the
Yeah,
system.
no,
They
fuck
should have
it.
stayed in the fucking vault.
Yeah, that's inside thought.
Or leave it to someone who actually could have done something like
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, this idea would have been much better served in the hands of someone who was not making a movie for the first time.
Chris Nash is a fucking hack. He's a pig. I don't want to see anything else that he
I would
makes.
watch something else he makes.
No, I'm alright.
So,
Your 4x3 doesn't fucking
Should
work.
we make a bet if he releases a banger in the next like 2 years or so? What do we make you do?
I'll do anything.
Okay, all right, we'll think about
think
that.
about that.
Right into the show. Think of something we can make Dylan do.
I'll do anything but watch any one of his movies.
Fair enough.
So yeah, 2.5 to 1.
Yeah.
We clearly weren't big
1
fans,
star movie.
but
Fucking-
it has like an 88 on Rotten Tomatoes, so maybe it'll work for you.
In a mid
Can't
nature.
say.
4x3 works on
Terrible,
fucking
it's-
liberal arts.
Okay,
It's-
okay.
it's got a fucking,
You can like the movie.
it's
I'm
got
not
a-
gonna like.
It's got a 43% audience rating.
Yeah.
on
Oh,
Rotten
does
Tomatoes.
it?
Yeah, no, man.
Oh,
I know. After watching this, that was my big takeaway. I was like, people are gonna fucking like.
I was
like,
expecting
we
people to
didn't-
walk out.
We didn't
yeah.
like it, but I'm talking like general audiences.
No,
like,
they're gonna
like,
hate
they
it.
are
They're
gonna
gonna
hate this.
Oh man, by like the 20-minute mark, I was like, I'm surprised people are still here.
Yeah, I thought someone walked out.
Oh really?
Yeah, someone went to go get like a fucking drink or something.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like, oh, bye. Yeah, mid. Don't ever want to think about it again.
Yeah, it
Or-
sucks to end on
It's just
a
awful.
it sucks to end on such a sour note because we were
We were on a
streak.
heater for a minute, just banger after banger.
Does that mean that my pick for the slasher
Yeah.
was the best?
You technically won. You won this
You won.
round.
I won Cinema Shakedown.
We got to
Yeah.
keep a tally.
My podcast now.
We got to keep a tally whenever we do these group things. Who gets the? Yeah,
Well, the
That'd be
good
fun.
you're at 1 point.
the good news is
Yeah.
we don't have to pick movies for next week.
We don't, because we have 4 movies on a platter in front of us, and it is the Michael Bay started franchise Bad Boys.
This is my bread and butter, gang. This is where I live. I'm a Michael Bay defender.
So
till
we'll
the
be,
day I die.
we'll be talking about Bad Boys 2,
You can tell how
Bad
excited
Boys
they
for
look.
Life, and what's the new one called? Bad Boys Ride or Die.
Yep.
Keep in mind, I guess I'll save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
I will say, big Michael Bay fan. I have actually never seen any of
Oh,
Bad
first
Boys
time
movies.
watching.
Yes,
Okay.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Well, that's going to be next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you like the show, you can follow it on Twitter at Cinema Shakedown and Instagram at Cinema Shakedown Pod.
Yes.
And you can follow me personally on Twitter and Letterboxd at Kyle Craigbaum. That's KRIEGHBAUM.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at J_Dennis99 or on Letterboxd at my name, Jordan Dennis. And you can follow Dylan home.
Or just leave me the fuck alone.
It's what he wants. It's what's best. He'll turn into a fucking slasher killer. Fans try and greet you.
I'll show you.
One of our 3 fans tries to greet you on the street. Get the fuck away from me!
He turns into like a Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare.
Holy shit.
And literally, if you try to follow me on anything, I will find you. And I will fucking eat you.
I've seen him do it.
Your fucking head.
And that's a promise, not a
No,
threat.
I've seen him unhinge his jaw like a fucking anaconda and swallow a water buffalo, dude. It was crazy.
I'll start doing coke again, and it's game over for you.
It's over
I'll
for
show
you,
you a
folks.
fucking slasher movie.
Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Goodbye.
We'll see ya.